Hey y'all, my name is Andrea. Welcome to my channel. This is a space on the internet where I talk all about Etsy. I have been a full-time Etsy seller for almost 7 years, and so I just love to use this space to talk about all the things that I'm learning and things that I have learned in the past about Etsy. So today I want to share sort of my first reaction of Etsy versus Shopify. So I just mentioned that I have been selling on Etsy for almost 7 years, so I have a lot of experience with the Etsy platform. But just this past January, we switched to using Shopify over WooCommerce. So now we use Etsy in addition to Shopify. We use both. I have another video explaining all about whether or not you should start on Etsy or your own website and just kind of unpacking that whole question. I'll link it in the description below. But for right now, I'm just gonna share my initial reaction to Shopify versus Etsy and just kind of all the things I'm learning about this new platform. So I've had about 2 months using Shopify daily and kind of just getting to know the platform. My initial reaction to it is that I really like it. Like I said, I came from WooCommerce. Shopify is way easier for the back end. So I kind of waited a while to switch to Shopify just because it was expensive and I'd always heard really good things about WooCommerce, and then I got into WooCommerce, and then you guys know how hard it is to switch platforms, so it just became something that I kept putting off, and eventually I was like, okay, we're switching to Shopify, and for me and our team, it is way easier to manage on the back end than WooCommerce ever was. WooCommerce integrations seemed to break a lot, and like nothing was straightforward about it. Everything had to have a workaround, or basically, I think that it'd be really good for someone who is way more technologically advanced than me, but I am not that. And Shopify makes things that were difficult on WooCommerce very easy. So that is one reason why we decided to switch, and we love that. And that, my reaction from the first 2 months of using that stays true to that. Like, it is way easier than WooCommerce. But I wanted to mainly talk about in this video is my initial reactions of Shopify versus Etsy. So the cool thing about Shopify is that you can do basically anything with apps. So if you're familiar with WordPress, they have plugins. Shopify has apps. It's basically like a plugin for Shopify. Makes things like anything you want to do in Shopify is possible. If it's not made possible by your theme in just your Shopify subscription, it is made possible by an app. So that is really handy because there are virtually no limitations on the kind of promos you can offer or delivery options or whatever you can think of. There is an app on Shopify that covers that. So that is really cool because it is basically limitless on your capabilities. Another thing about Shopify is that it is set up for all e-commerce, not just handmade. So Etsy is obviously handmade and vintage sellers. Shopify is for anyone that sells online. Because of that, they do just have a lot more options. A big difference that they have compared to Etsy that I've noticed is the fact that their coupons can be really robust. So like the amount of conditions you can make and just pretty much any kind of sale or promo that you wanted to run, you can do that within Shopify, most of the time within their native platform, but with an app, truly unlimited options for sales and promos. So that's super nice. The last huge benefit I'm noticing with Shopify is its design capabilities. So I touch on this in my video about whether or not you should sell on your own website or Etsy. Etsy is extremely limited on the amount of design choices you are allowed to make, which is basically 0. But Shopify is basically unlimited, especially if you get a good theme. So that is really nice because we just were able to set up our website to make it look exactly like we want, which with a brand is really important. So I'm noticing that that's a really cool freedom that Shopify offers over Etsy. Now, I am talking up Shopify like crazy. That's basically just because I decided to go with Shopify Pros before I went and talked about Etsy. One thing to note is that we get the vast majority of our sales through Etsy still. So I say that because I think that a lot of people get scared by the limitations of Etsy, and they're just like, oh, that won't work for me. It doesn't work for me. I want to have a pretty website. And then they just count it off immediately. The reason why I'm telling you that we get the vast majority of our sales, we have a very cute well put together Shopify site, and even still, most of our sales come through Etsy. I'm saying that because you need to know that Etsy does work. It is not so limited that you can't sell. You can make a lot of money on Etsy. Etsy works. So if you are being limited by the cost of entry for Shopify, do not be afraid to sell on Etsy. Etsy absolutely does work. We get a lot of sales through it, and we have had no issues processing orders with Etsy. So that kind of rolls us directly into the pros of Etsy. So obviously I'm a big fan of Etsy. We use Etsy a lot, and I think that there are some very notable pros of selling on Etsy. The first thing and the most obvious is that there's no monthly fee and the cost of entry is super low. So for Etsy, no monthly fee at all. The fees are a bit higher than Shopify, but depending on how much you sell, the monthly fee could end up being more on Shopify if you don't sell that much on Etsy, if that makes sense. And the listing fee to sell something on Etsy is only 20 cents per item. So basically all you have to lose, if you are adequately counting in fees in your cost, all you have to lose on Etsy is 20 cents. So the cost of entry on Etsy is extremely low, which I'm always a huge fan of because I think that a lot of people get overwhelmed with the theme cost and the monthly payment of Shopify and all this stuff to start a business that they don't start. And there is just no excuse for that on Etsy because it is literally only 20 cents to start. So that is one thing I really love about Etsy. The second thing I love about Etsy, and in my opinion, the thing that is the biggest deal of all deals on Etsy and the reason why we still sell the vast majority of our sales on Etsy, is because Etsy already has a market built in. Etsy company, Etsy HQ already does the work to bring the customers to their platform. That's a huge deal for you because it's basically like if you can maximize your Etsy SEO, they are doing the hard work of getting people to their business and all you have to do is rock out their platform. That's a huge deal because if you have tried at all to market a product and make sales, you know that it is very hard. It is half, if not more than half, of the battle of making sales. So the fact that they bring in all of these people, all these customers every year that are already going to their platform is a huge deal for you. I kind of compare it to like if Target was like, hey, we want to sell your stuff in our stores. That's insane. Like Target already brings in so many customers a year and then all you have to do is catch their eye within Target. That's how it is on Etsy. So I think that that is a massive deal for Etsy and just something that Shopify doesn't offer. Just plain and simple, Shopify doesn't have that. They don't have a built-in customer base. If you have a website on Shopify, which we do, I'm not knocking it, you are responsible for bringing in all of your own customers, which if you think that that's an easy thing to do, I challenge you to try it and you will realize quickly that it is half the battle is marketing your product and getting people just to your storefront. So that is one reason why I'm a massive proponent of Etsy. Like I said, I have an entire video on just the whole concept of your own website or Etsy, not Shopify specific. And I kind of dive into all of those reasons. I linked it in the description below. You can go ahead and look at that there. But that is just one of the main benefits of Etsy that I have found that Shopify does not have. The final thing I want to mention in the Shopify Etsy comparison is the places where they're really similar. So all of the basic functions of e-commerce, I noticed that Etsy and Shopify are super similar. On both of them, it's really easy to make an item listing. Printing shipping labels is very straightforward on both platforms. Printing packing slips is super straightforward. Communication with your customers on Etsy, you can do it within combos. On Shopify, the form links directly to your email. Super easy. One thing I did forget to mention with Shopify is that their sign-up box is very, very simple for getting email list subscribers, especially if you have Flowdesk. I use Flowdesk for my shop. I have a link in the description that will get you half off for as long as you have it. And you can go ahead and check that out if you're interested in Flowdesk. But Shopify integrates directly with Flowdesk, so anybody who goes through your Shopify form just automatically gets added to your Flowdesk subscriber count. Very easy, and Etsy does not have that. Other than that, all of the basic functions of e-commerce are very similar on Shopify as they are to Etsy. So that is definitely something that I think is a really big deal because, like I said, it means that Etsy works. Shopify is more robust. which is honestly super handy, but I don't know that I would deem it an absolute necessity for someone who's starting out their business right away. If you're selling a handmade item, I definitely think it's worth it to start on Etsy, and then once you've kind of built the capital it would take to publish a site on Shopify and pay for your theme and the monthly fee and all this stuff, then I think it would be worth it to list all of your items on Shopify as well and redirect all of your outward marketing efforts towards that. All in all, it's really important to know that I really like Shopify. I am so glad we switched from WooCommerce. We have had a great experience with it, but I did want to just mention all the things that are kind of floating around in my head comparing Etsy and Shopify. If you've decided that you want to start selling on Etsy, I made a free resource for seasoned and new Etsy sellers. It's my Etsy shop scorecard. It basically just walks you through your shop setup to make sure that everything that needs to be done is done. I mentioned earlier that this is my channel where I love to share everything I'm learning on Etsy. If that's something you're interested in, I would love it if you hung around and subscribed. Thank you so much for watching.